Welcome back to another exciting episode of Four Wolves Takes, where your boy Artis Woods will bring you four fresh Minnesota Timberwolves takes. As always, like usual, it is an honor and a privilege to be in front of you all today, Wolves fans. This is an exciting episode for me because this episode is mainly about the future. Yes, I know, I understand the Timberwolves are getting ready to play the number one seed in the Western Conference in about probably an hour or so when this episode drops. Again, welcome back to Four Wolves Takes. I know, big game coming up, fully aware. But I want to talk about something and some things that go beyond just tonight's game, right? I want to talk a little bit about the Wolves' future. Now, this first take, it's about the Wolves' future. Well, I guess it is about the future, but it's really just about how I feel about our guy Anthony Edwards embracing a certain role, right? But beyond that, all future stuff that I really want to touch on, that I really want to get to. Some things this season, some things beyond this season. But it's some things I just have to touch on. Some things happened, right? During the time I have been away from you guys. And so I got to get to it. But first take of the day, let's get right to it. Anthony Edwards, man. I think Ant should embrace face of the NBA conversations. I think he should embrace it. Now I understand, right? Young guy like Anthony Edwards, 23 years old, sounds like a lot of responsibility because it is, right? So when a reporter asks you, how do you feel about potentially being the face of the league, or however the question was phrased, of course, naturally, you're like, it's a lot of responsibility. I don't know if I want all that. I don't know if that's really me. You know, Anthony Edwards, like I said, young guy, right? Kind of moves to his own, does things his own way. I don't really know if I want that, right? You think of guys like LeBron James, you know, I don't want to use the word perfect because no human being is perfect, but there's never any off the court issues, rarely any on the court issues. I mean, he's just the perfect husband, the perfect, father. It's just everything about LeBron seems to be just on point. Now, whether you like him as a ball player is a completely different conversation, but as a human being, right? He rarely does anything wrong, rarely is in the news for anything bad, right? Look, Steph Curry, same thing. Whether you like him as a ball player or not, whether you feel like he's changed the game for the good or the bad or not, or whether you embrace his play, irrelevant to him as a human being, him as a father, him as a husband, him not having off the court issues, on the court issues, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of what you associate with the face of a league. NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, doesn't matter. I can understand a guy like Anthony Edwards being like, man, look, I do my thing off the court. You know what I mean? I don't want everybody in my personal business. I don't want everybody digging into, what I do outside of the game. I want to just focus on the game. I want the attention to be on the game. And my response to that is, it's going to happen either way. Like that it's going to happen either way, right? Even if you're not the face of the league, you're still Anthony Edwards, one of the young superstars, one of the best players already in the NBA, right? And in the era of social media, it ain't much that can be hidden, for lack of a better word, right? It's not much that people not going to find out. It's not much that people not going to see, whether you're at this level, in the league, or whether you're maybe even a mid-tier guy. Now, maybe you don't get as much attention if you're a mid-tier guy, but you're already at a level that says, hey, I mean, face of the league or not, you're Anthony Edwards. People are going to know about your personal business, whether you want them to know or not. That's just the reality of things, right? Also, face of the league isn't just associated with, off the court stuff, being a great dad, being a great brother, being a great husband, whatever the case may be. It's not just about that. Those names are brought up when you talk about face of the league. They're oftentimes referred to or associated with champions. LeBron James, 4-time champion. Steph Curry, 4-time champion, right? Oftentimes, the tag for the face of the NBA goes to the best player in the NBA. So just by Anthony Edwards being himself and ascending to that level, we hope to be the best player in the NBA, you're naturally going to get the face of the NBA tag anyway. So it's just a bunch of inevitables. Like, people are going to dig into who Anthony Edwards is and what he does off the court and things of that nature. Like, that's going to happen. That's inevitable. And if you continue to ascend as a star in the league, it is also inevitable that you're going to be the face of the league. You have the charisma, you have the swag, you have the skill, you have the play style, right? You have, the even playing well in movies. I mean, you have everything that you need to be the face on top of being a great ball player that says this is going to inevitably happen. So you might as well just embrace it. Embrace it and everything that comes with it, right? Step into that role. Hey, face of the league, it is what it is. I mean, Team USA, Olympics 2028. Who's going to be the best player on that team for Team USA? I mean, Anthony Edwards already came out and said on the team with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, etc., I'm the number one option. A lot of those guys might not be there in 2028. Maybe not even Jason Tatum with the amount of playing time he got, right? So he's going to be the face of Team USA. He might be the best player in the NBA at that time. Like, it's all inevitable, bro. Like, don't fight it. Just continue to be who you are, continue to ball, and understand that the responsibility is just going to be, it's par for the course. It's going to happen. Embrace it. Embrace it and match it with some championships. Because I guarantee you go out there, you win a championship or two. Again, it's inevitable. You will be the face of the NBA. Take number 2 on the day. Again, we talking about the future, but this one is about this season, which is technically still the future because this season has not concluded yet. So what we've seen out of Naz Reid lately as the starter for the Minnesota Timberwolves has been special. And I believe that Coach Finch should continue to start Naz Reid. Now, will this happen? Probably not, but that's not going to stop me from making it a take, because my job is not to say, what's going to happen in all situations. My job in most cases is to say that, but to also say what I believe should happen as a take. What I believe should happen. Not just what I believe is going to happen, because I don't believe he's going to start when Julius Randle comes back and he's healthy. But this is the Naz Reid I was looking for before the season started. I said Naz Reid is going to jump from a 13, 14 point per game guy to 18, 19 points per game. We have seen Naz Reid now recently as the minutes go up. Last couple games, right? We got 40 minutes against Sacramento, 36 against the Chicago Bulls, 36 against the Houston Rockets, 38 against the Portland Trailblazers, 35 against the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? 33 against the Milwaukee Bucks, 38 against OKC, and 34 against the Rockets. We got a 22-8-3. We got a 27-14-7. We got a 22-13-2. We got a 23-8. We got a 22-10. We got a 30-5. I mean, it's time to embrace the facts. Naz Reid is a starter in the NBA. Naz Reid is a starter in the NBA. And if we're talking about the future, I think your best bet as far as taking those strides for the future is to continue to infuse that confidence in Naz Reid and to let him know you're the guy. You're the starter. Now, I understand that Julius Randle has been a star in this league for a while now. He is a proven player in this league. I'm not sure Julius Randle is a part of the future plans. If Julius Randle is a part of the future plans, then okay, maybe you do continue to start Julius Randle. But if Julius Randle is not a part of the future plans and you intend on trading him or whatever you intend on doing to the point where he's not a member of the team within the next year, 2, 3, and Naz Reid is your guy, you going to sign him to an extension, you want him to be the guy for the next couple years, why not give him that opportunity and that spotlight right now to continue to shine? We're going to put you in this role now because this is what we see for you in the future. We want you with Anthony Edwards and maybe a Rob Dillingham or a Jaden McDaniels to be the trio going forward, to be the leaders of the team going forward. We want to etch that in stone now. We want to stamp that now. Why not? I personally don't see why not, especially seeing the production. We saw this when Karl-Anthony Towns went down last year with his injury. Naz Reid stepped into that starter role and played extremely well. I believe he plays his best ball in this role. There's nothing like getting starter minutes. There's nothing like being in that starting lineup that infuses a different level of swag and confidence, especially in a young player like Naz Reid. Now, again, the reverse may happen with Julius Randle if you take him out of the starting lineup. And we know that. We understand all that. But again, if we're talking about the future and not winning a championship this year, and we're talking about the future, my recommendation would be, again, continue to start Naz Reid. Continue to start Naz Reid. Continue to give him that confidence. And continue to watch him. But I mean, like I said, he's balling. Now, again, will it happen? Probably not. It probably will not happen. But should it happen? It absolutely should happen. Play the hot hand. Ride the hot hand of Naz Reid. Take number 3 on the day. Win the games you're supposed to, please. For the love of God, win the games you're supposed to. The Minnesota Timberwolves right now currently have one of the easiest remaining schedules left in the NBA. They have a schedule that says they are poised for a run. That's what it says. Not literally, verbatim. But according to my expectations, they have a schedule that says they are built to make a run. They are built to beat the teams that they are going to see. Now, granted, you got to play OKC tonight and then again tomorrow on a back-to-back. You got to play the Lakers. But after that, you got Utah. You got Phoenix, who could be tough. You got the Sixers. You got the Hornets. You got the Heat with no Jimmy Butler. You got the Spurs. You got the Utah Jazz in here. The Indiana Pacers. The Pelicans twice, right? Like, the Pistons, they're okay. Got you earlier this season. You should get back later on. The Brooklyn Nets. The point is, in looking at this schedule, that if the Wolves take care of business, they can move up the standings quick. But the key is them taking care of their business, because the problem with the Wolves, and we've seen this time and time again now, is the Wolves will play big time ball against OKC, big time ball against the Boston Celtics, big time ball against the Los Angeles Lakers, big time ball against the top tier teams in the league. And then when they get to the lower tier teams, the Brooklyn Nets or the Utah Jazz, they'll drop those games. They might even drop them back to back. Portland Trailblazers, they'll drop those games. Again, might even be back to back. And it's like, these games, even though they don't seem important in the moment, and I've said this before, these games could be the determining factor. They could be the determining factor in where you place in the seedings. Right now, let me just double check. Right now, they're like 4 games out of the 4th seed in the West. They're literally, yes, there are 4 games right now out of the 4th seed in the West. Every game from this point forward to end the season is important. Win as many as you can. No mercy on nobody. Treat every game like it's a playoff game if you want to move up in the standings and give yourself a chance at making a run. Because as much as we can sit up here and say, we don't fear anyone in the West, I agree. You still don't want to play OKC in the first round if you could avoid that. You could beat OKC, but do you want to play the number 1 seed in the first round? I wouldn't. Not as a player, but just in general. I wouldn't want my team as a fan, let's just say. I wouldn't want my team going into the playoffs, having to play and playing and then playing the number 1 seed in the West. Grizzlies can be had, but do I want them playing the number 2 seed in the West? Not necessarily. Do I want them playing the Nuggets, the number 3 seed in the West? Not necessarily. Again, that's not to say you can't take these teams, because you can. It's not to say, hey, at some point you got to play them anyway if you want to really make a run. But the whole point is, seeding is important. Home court is important. And if you got a chance to somehow, some way, after the way this season has gone, to get up to the 4th seed and have your first playoff series, have home court advantage for the first playoff series, that's a major win for this season. And so that's what the third take is: win the games you're supposed to win. Because I believe if they do that, having one of the easiest remaining schedules left, they got a real shot at finishing within the top 5 and really making some noise, all things considered. Last take of the day. I have not talked much about this because my biggest thing is I just like to talk about the game. I just like to talk about the game of basketball. But I'd be remiss because some news broke, right? Some news broke while I was away about the Timberwolves ownership situation. I'd be remiss to not bring it up because of also the breaking news that came out today. Now, I think this news has already been talked about and it was kind of already assumed, right? But in case you've been hiding under a rock, A-Rod and Mark are set to become majority owners of the Minnesota Timberwolves after winning the arbitration case against Glenn Taylor. Huge. But what comes with A-Rod and Mark winning this arbitration case against Glenn Taylor is Kevin Garnett. Kevin Garnett, since he's retired from the Minnesota Timberwolves, as we all know, has not gotten his just due. He just hasn't. His numbers should be retired in the Raptors. It is not. But bigger than that, this is, again, speaking to the future of the Timberwolves. KG joining the Wolves front office, as reported, is big in so many different ways. One, I can see him having a hands-on approach with players, and we don't know exactly what the position will be. Let me just put it out there. We don't know exactly what the position will be. We don't know the exact anything just yet. All we know is Charlie Walters reported that KG is expected to join the Timberwolves front office upon the ownership change. I'm looking at it like involvement with the players, infusing that winning attitude, and the Wolves already have winning attitude, but infusing more winning attitude within the organization, within the players, being a mentor. I just think KG, his winning mindset, his go-getter attitude, the dog mentality that he has, the aura that he brings is going to help the Timberwolves propel to extreme heights. So karma is a real thing in my opinion. Kevin Garnett gets his just due. He pours back into the organization that drafted him and that really put him on the map and that he also put on the map. He pours into the players, right? And he helps build a winning culture in Minnesota for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I just think he will command respect amongst ownership, amongst those players, amongst young drafted players who'll be able to see who has what he has and who doesn't. I just think this is big. I think it's big news. And so that's why I say I think the future is looking bright. Start Naz Reid. Bring on Kevin Garnett, Anthony Edwards. Embrace the role. Embrace it. Embrace the role of being potentially, and if you become the best player in the league, it will happen anyway, but embrace the role of being the face of the NBA and the schedule. You handle your business, you'll put yourself in position to make a run. I love what I see. I like what I see. We'll see how the game goes tonight for the Timberwolves, coming off of a loss to the Houston Rockets. But all in all, man, I like what I see. I like the potential of everything. Minnesota Timberwolves right now. And I didn't even speak on the young players that's been playing well. TSJ balling. I ain't even speak on that. But that's all I have for y'all today on this week's episode of Four Wolves Takes. Like I said, we'll see how tonight's game goes. But until next time, it's been a pleasure. I'll catch you all next time on the next episode of Four Wolves Takes.